The manhwa begins with the hero knocking on the door of a room in the magic tower. The hero name is Esther, who has snow-white hair and golden eyes, says she has heard praise about a genius mage who appears once every 100 years. Surely, this can't be the kid, right? The protagonist of this story is a student named Lynn, with brown hair and black eyes. He didn't reply to the hero and continued, arranging magic books on the shelf. The hero became a little nervous and asked, "Hey you, can he hear her?" The protagonist replied, "He is not a genius or a kid. His name is Lynn." The hero became happy and remarked, "Is he really the youngest 4-star archmage in the Empire's history? Looks like he came to the right place." And she jokingly remarked, "But he is a kid, though. Hard to call him a genius mage when he still need diapers. If he join her party, she will change them for him every day." Upon hearing Esther's comment, Lynn's anger flared, and he instinctively cast a spell called Fireball. However, she became nervous, and she realized she was wrong. She was only joking, but her attempt to backtrack led to a clumsy collision with a shelf, sending books tumbling down on her. Lynn, now confused, halted his spell casting and watched as Esther struggled amidst the books. Despite the mishap, he couldn't help but chuckle at the situation. It was in that moment that Lynn found himself intrigued by Esther. The hero stepped forward, revealing her identity as Esther Alter Chiropin. She declared she is a fake warrior of the Radiant Dragon Church. She explained, a fake warrior was someone enhanced through bodily modifications but with a limited lifespan. She asked him to help her defeat the abyss, creeping from the South Pole. In other words, she invited him to join her hero party. Two well-known individuals were already part of Esther's party: the Empire's renowned archer, Kais, and the Fire Dragon's priestess from the Republic of Dragon, Freed. Lynn stated he don't want to die. Esther asked who wants to die. Then Lynn inquired, are the other two as interesting as her? Esther thought for a second and noted they're just as crazy as she is. But there's something even more fun. Lynn asked, what is it? She replied, the world resonated strangely with her. Someone who had been studying magic in the magic tower after being rescued from the slums. He had a goal to become the highest ranked mage in the Empire, a 7-star mage. They said that if he reached the 7th star, he can see the truth of the world. He wanted to reach that realm where no one else had gone. Living here, reading magic books for the rest of his life wouldn't be bad either. But to master 7-star magic, he needed to know about the world outside the magic tower. However, aimless travel seemed too bothersome. He felt, does he really need to? Then, this clumsy hero came and told him to save the world. The sudden proposal was enough to draw him out into the outside world. Although he didn't have a burning sense of justice to save the world, he took her hand and joined the hero party. Kais was an archer whose accuracy dropped drastically without drinking, and he was mute. Freed, the priestess, was a serious chain smoker. She said as the fire dragon's priestess, he should at least be able to cast a breath spell, Lynn thought, blowing black smoke in his face and, laughing like a madwoman, Esther attempted to lift their spirits as a menacing monster emerged. Without hesitation, they both sprang into action. Kais swiftly darted forward, distracting the creature with her agility, and skillfully blinded it with his arrow. In a coordinated effort, Freed then cast a potent spell, swiftly vanquishing the monster before them. Lynn thought still, both were undeniably skilled. They were strong, the ferocious monsters they encountered on their journey, and the abyss, minions invading from the north, were no match for them. Esther often joked with him, saying, Lynn, don't he dare fall for her, even though she is quite charming, and ask Lynn, after all this is over, does he want to go on a journey with her? Lynn, she is really worried that he is so innocent, he will be tricked by another girl. 5 years passed like that, as their journey to save the world from the abyss approached its end. But his body showed signs of erosion. It was the result of being exposed to enemy attacks for 5 years. Before the final battle against the abyss, he is dying, consumed by the soul-poisoning poison. His life is about to end. Esther's voice echoed urgently, Lynn to wake up. She then turned to Freed, pleading, please do something. Freed's response was somber, she cannot break this curse. There's no way healing it. Esther's cry pierced the air, no, Lynn must not die. And Lynn noted he didn't want to die. Esther affirmed she understands and she will find a solution, so just hold on. But Lynn stated don't worry too much. He has made this Lord's filter tiny reversal, an immortality spell carved over his heart. A magic that would put his body into a dormant state and heal him. He didn't know how long it would take to revive, but this was the only option left. He will come back, so win for him please. Esther stopped crying and exclaimed he should promise. Lynn, by all means, let's meet again. Promise her he will come back. Then, Together the four of them will go see the world. She will stay by his side until he wake up. Lynn remarked. Yeah, he promised. His consciousness was being pulled into the cold grip of death, a floating feeling and emptiness, as if sinking into a marsh. And the mission for the world. Did he fail to see the truth from the 7-star magic system? This journey of traveling the vast world together ends here, in front of the army of the abyss, surging forward with shrieks. The sight before him was all darkness. When he was tired of floundering in the darkness, his eyes fluttered open, he heard a voice addressing him as Rain, inquiring about his well-being with concern. Lynn quickly interjected, affirming that he was fine, referring to her as Mother. However, Lynn's expression shifted to one of shock as he realized he had no mother. He was an orphan. His confusion deepened as he glanced around, pondering where he is. His mother sighed and asked, "Why is he acting like this?" "This is the Heroes' Square in front of the Vatican. There's a statue commemorating the Esther party, isn't there?" He immediately turned around and saw the statue of himself and his companions placed before him, complete with details of their lifespans. Then he asked, "What year is it now?" She asked, "What's wrong?" The way he is talking suddenly scares her. He asked again, "What year is it?" She replied, "It's the year 1418 of the Teresia calendar." Hearing this, his eyes widened in shock as he thought, have he been reborn? Or has his memory been superimposed on someone else's body? The sensations in this body are strange. What on earth has happened? Esther's laughter, Keith's drunken rambling, Fried's cigarette smoke. Were those days really 300 years ago? And he asked, did they win the final battle? Lynn thought it was a meaningless question. If they had won, a statue would have been constructed. That's why there's such a peaceful sky now. She replied, "Why is he asking something so obvious? By the way, it's a pity. They say that if he go to the Vatican Tower now, he can see Lord Lynn's frozen remains." Lynn thought he understand. So, does this mean he have possessed someone else's body? She continued to explain. Lady Esther stayed by Lord Lynn's side until the day she passed away. It's a truly beautiful and sad connection. Then she asked, "What do you think?" As she turned towards him, he burst into laughter. Observing this, she asked, "Why is he laughing?" "It's a sad story." But Lynn thought, no, it's just incredible that she kept her promise. Lynn approached the statue while reflecting, but someone failed to keep his promise. He didn't fulfill it, as tears filled his eyes. Afterward, as he acquainted himself with this new world, he thought he don't know how those three spoke of him, but he had become a historic figure. The Emperor of the Empire personally installed a monument for him, and many mage towers and mage families honored him as a saint. But what the past 300 years left him was only magic. The memories of traveling to many places, and the faces of his comrades who smiled brightly in those memories. And those memories had become legends. One day, Esther said that memories only become memories when they're shared with someone. So his memories are not yet memories. Until he die and meet them, they remain unshared. These memories, which he must live alone, are like unanswered echoes. Currently, his mother approached him with a teacup in hand. He accepted it with a smile, pondering now they are gone. But they left this world behind. So what should he do now? Recalling something Esther had said in the past, he thought there's still work to be done. The Holy Human Empire divided the mage class into 7 levels. 1st star Common Mage, Band or An. 2nd star Intermediate Mage, Limites. 3rd star High Mage, Atlas. 4th star Elite Mage, Glottos. 5th star Grand Mage, Acquizzard. 6th star Sage, Rampage. 7th star Sage, Shin Sage. Ultimately, he reached the level of a 5-star mage. Only 2 people in the history of the Empire have reached the 6-star level, known as Sage. They could be said to have reached the end of truth. If he hadn't left with Esther, he would have probably reached the 6-star level when he grew old and died. But he would have regretted it all his life. Even if someone turned back time, he would leave to travel with her again and again. But now Esther is gone. He hoped this world is filled with laughter. The world they desperately protected together. Is it really the way she wanted it to be? Esther said that those who reach the end of magic, they can see the true face of the world. So in this life, he must become a 7-star mage. To escape this sorrow and emptiness, he will push himself. He remembered a past moment when Esther said, "Lynn, this way. Look at this flower." Fried commented, "Showing this to a charmless brat like Lynn seems too romantic, doesn't it?" Keith remained silent as always. At that time Lynn said, he did rather read one more magic book than look at this. What's so great about this flower field? He reflected there was always grumbling from him. The party members were uniformly full of quirkiness, but he really enjoyed traveling with them all. Esther, Keith, and Fried, goodbye now. The dead remain in the past and cannot go together. The living, following the flow of time, must move towards the future. And moving forward, let's call him Rain from now on. Thus began his second life. Rain recalled what Esther once said. Lynn, have he ever wished he had a family? Lynn replied no, he don't even know his mom's face. He grew up in the northern slums. If the dean of the Osiris school hadn't noticed his magical talent and taken him in, he would have lived as an orphan and died on the streets. He doesn't even know what family he is from. He is not interested in it either. Fried put her hand on his shoulder and said, poor thing. Lynn quickly moved away, saying, well, even if he had a family, he wouldn't know how to treat them, so he doesn't need a family or anything. Esther remarked, it's not that complicated, he just needs to cherish them a lot. He is a kind-hearted kid, he will do great. At the moment, a maid woke him up, saying, young Master Rain, it's morning. Since he is up, she will prepare breakfast for him. Rain stretched his body and reflected. The memories of his previous life returned to this 9-year-old spoiled brat only 20 days ago. This boy Rain is the eldest son of the Ludwig family, one of the 5 great mage families of the empire. He, who was an orphan, has been reborn into a noble family this time. Therefore, to adapt to this life, he had to work tirelessly. The maid welcomed him, and his mother remarked, he is already up. Perfect timing. Can he go tell his father that breakfast is ready? He'll be pleased if he go. He agreed and went to his father's room. His father's name was Kevin Ludwig. He asked Rain, did he not sleep well? His complexion doesn't look good. He still seems tired from the journey. Rain said, father, they said that breakfast is ready. His father laughed and noted, so his son came here just for that. Thank you, but he should go eat first. Rain asked, isn't he eating? While seeing a magic circle formation page on the table, he then asked, is this a magic? His father replied, yes, the thesis presentation is next week, so he is in a bit of a hurry. Eating makes his mind foggy, so he tried to focus and get as much done as he can in the clear morning hours. Looking closely at it, Rain asked, is that where he is stuck? Want him to help? Father inquired, is he here to cheer him on? Rain said no, he wants to help solve the magic circle. Father stated help is welcome, but if he end up being late for breakfast, Mom will scold him, so go ahead, eat his breakfast. But Rain started to explain, magic is about expressing natural laws numerically, and then twisting them. The Go rune makes the equation more complex and clashes with the Cha rune, so it's best to replace it with the Gu rune. And then, using the imperial equation 41-2, he can derive the answer right away. In surprise, his father asked, is such a method possible? He thought this was a difficult problem that even the Empire's top scholars couldn't solve, and it actually was a high-level spell cast about 200 years ago. If this spell is re-established, it could protect countless people from natural disasters like floods or landslides. How did Rain, who has just mastered basic magic, do this? Judging by his proficiency in basic magic, Rain was quite ordinary. However, considering that he is of the Ludwig family's mage lineage, it meant that he did not inherit the magical talent. His thoughts were interrupted by Rain saying, now can he have breakfast with them? His father hugged him saying, yes, let's eat together. Rain's family was small. He had a mother, father, and a 6-year-old sister. The little girl peeking through the door was his sister Sari. With shimmering black hair like silk and red eyes, she was a cute girl who inherited the physical traits of the Ludwig family just like Rain. As he turned around and looked towards her, she became frightened and ran away. He thought it was understandable. In this memory, Rain was never kind to Sari. Rather than being cold, he was simply indifferent to everything. As he read books, he recalled what Esther had said to him, he should cherish them. How can he just run away? In this world, it seems like everyone is always busy, doesn't it? He is a kind-hearted kid, so he will do great. She believed in him. Recalling all that, he became frustrated and closed the book and said, come here. He will teach her magic. Or does she want to play together? She ran away again and he thought, kids are too difficult to deal with. His thoughts were interrupted as she came back with a book in hand. He looked at the book and said, basic formulas for 1-star magic. She is 6 and already reading such a book? As he looked at her smiling face, he recalled the memory when Esther said, do he know the meaning of this flower's name? Let her tell him the story of that cliff. Lynn always complained about being treated like a child by Esther, but in fact, he loved those moments more than anything. He asked which part doesn't she get? She marked the point that she didn't understand, and he stated, so she didn't understand it from the start. She replied, that's right. Rain said, okay, he will explain. Have she ever played house? She replied affirmatively. He explained, a thatched roof house, a brick house, Depending on what kind of house you build, the materials change, right? In magic, the magic square serves that role. The magic square's shape determines the magic's attribute. Drawing a triangle makes it fire attribute. Drawing a fan makes it wind attribute. So this magic square is for wind attribute magic. The next step is runes. Runes determine the effect of the magic. Runes are magical words. Yol means bind, while Ho means scatter. For example, engraving the rune Yol on a triangular magic square makes it a fire attribute. Binding spell. The actual operation uses math formulas. She asked, "What is math?" He became nervous, thinking how he would explain that, but he continued with his explanation. For Yol, she needs a quadratic equation. But before that, let's start with addition and subtraction. Seeing that, two maids talked to each other. The one in the brown uniform said, "Master Rain has completely changed." The maid in the blue uniform remarked, "Before, even when Lady Sari cried, he wouldn't care. Since returning from the square in front of the Vatican, even his gaze has changed." A little while later, as their parents came to study room, his mother exclaimed, "She wants to capture this scene in a painting." Rain's father remarked, "He agreed, but by the time the painter comes, the children might be awake. Besides, Sari is so shy that it might be too much." As he looked at the table, he saw magic circle formations drawn on the pages. He said, "He's teaching Sari magic?" Since coming back from the square, Rain seems like a completely different person. She noted his tone has suddenly become more mature as well. Could it be he's been possessed by the abyss? He replied, "That's not it. Like father, like son." He had a similar experience. He was a student. He had the honor of meeting Lord Lynn. At the time, he was bragging about becoming a 3-star mage. But Lord Lynn rose to 5 stars during wartime. Living in the peaceful era the heroes created, he realized how complacent he was. Perhaps Rain had similar thoughts. She asked, "Was Lord Lynn really frozen in time?" He replied, "Indeed. He wielded ice magic so perfectly that he remained as he was at 18. She questioned, "Tell her more." He responded by saying, "Even if he wanted to, he can't because he don't know anything beyond that." By the way, there was Lady Esther's magic within the ice. Only Lord Lynn and Lady Esther could awaken it. He suspected it's a letter because she surely believed that he would return someday. He remarked, "By the way, he has something to tell her." Rain seems to be a genius. Moreover, one who might reach the level of a sage. He solved the magic square he has been struggling with for over a year, only by looking at it this morning. She exclaimed, "Goodness, so that's why he could come for breakfast today?" He replied, "Yes. Although it might be a bit early, it's time to teach him their family's magic. Rain might become a thieving mage who reads and steals all magic. It's only allowed to those of the Ludwig family, the bloodline limited magic. But he is not sure how much he can teach him." She asked, "Is it that difficult?" He replied, "Yes, it's no ordinary task." She asked, "So how will he do it?" He replied, "He has an idea." Next morning, Rain think under the blue sky, a dazzling tulip field stretches into the horizon. This is Sayas Tulika. This beautiful region, famous for tulips, had 1/3 of its land owned by the Ludwig family. The weather sure is amazing. If he want to go far, he need mid to long-term goals. Especially if it's on the path to truth, there's a lot to do to become a 7-star mage. No matter how young he is, he can't waste time. Let's summon the guide first. As he tried to do that, his sister came and asked, "Brother, what is he doing?" He sighed and replied he was about to summon the magic guide. She asked, "Guide, what is it?" He then asked, should he make one for her too? She jumped with happiness and replied yes. Meanwhile, seeing her, Rain think looks like she likes it. But for a 6-year-old, her speech is a bit awkward. He wonder if something's wrong. He explained to her, the shape of the magic circle is a multi-square. The runes to inscribe are Ju, Yu, Du, and Je. This is high-level magic containing 4 different elements, so only a 4-star mage can handle it. Right now, only 10 mages in this country can use this. As the spell activate, blue light emerges, but blood coming out from Rain, noise, and eyes. He think is it still too much for 4-star magic? It's a good thing it was a guidance spell. If it had been combat magic, he would have died. This body is garbage, and stated, "Come here, Rudian." A butterfly-like thing appears and sit on Sari finger. Then a system window pop up showing information. It quantifies the user's abilities and detects potential magic power. And Rain explains this is Rudian's function. It tells her what to learn and train. The rune Ju in the guidance spell informs about basic magic power, and the rune Yu informs about magic utilization. In short, it's filled with the best runes for learning. It may seem simple, but it's 4-star magic. And he asked, "Do she like it?" She replied, "Yes, she likes it very much." He remarked, "Now, go study over there." As she leaves, realization hit him he need to recover his magic power first, before he calls the second Rydian later. As he recovers his magic power, he summons Rydian for himself. Rydian shows quantifying physical condition. Magic power 3024. Seeing system window, Rain thought it's below the level of a novice mage, and order Rydian to calculation magic and stamina next. Windows show, magic power is 77 and stamina is 64. See all this he think he have a long way to go. Then Rydian display another window showing information, detecting bloodline limited magic manual, judged as learnable. Bel Sidious and Bel Curious. See that his eyes become widened in surprise and he think bloodline limited magic. This body wasn't total garbage. When he was traveling with Esther, a young mage came to him. He wanted to prove himself as the best mage of the empire and join the party instead of him. But his skills were nothing special. Yeah, his skills were nothing special. But his eyes gave him a hard time. With those eyes he saw through all the magic that I used, and only launched counterattacks. Now he understand, that was the power of the Ludwig family's bloodline limited magic Bel Sidious. By just watching the flow of magic, he could tell what magic the opponent was using. If their magic skill is equal, the one who counters better has the advantage. And Bel Curious, a legendary eye that only 3 people have ever opened in the Empire's magic history. If Bel Sidious is the power to discern the opponent's magic, Bel Curious is the power to steal it. The reason the Ludwig family is known as thieving mages is because of that eye. The childhood goal is now set. Without magic power and stamina, he can't become a grand mage. A little while later, as Rain was in the study room, his father asked is he interested in their family's bloodline limited magic? Rain thought, what's this? Was he watching? His father continued by saying, it's a bit early, but do he want to try learning it? Rain think it wouldn't hurt to learn the theory in advance, and he replied yes. His father remarked then from today onwards, Ellen will be his tutor. Only while he is at the academy though. When he returned from the academy, he will personally teach him. He confusing ask Ellen? His father explained she's an excellent person who teaches students at Delayton, has great magical talent, and above all, is the Aunt Ellen who loves her nephew more than anyone else in this world. He met her when he was 6. Ellen dresses in black outfit enter the room and she closely looks at Rain, and she stated this is ridiculous. Does the genius Professor Ellen Ludwig have to come in person, just for the sake of teaching this uncute child? She grabbed his head and asked, well then, is he ready? She asked, do he know who she is? He replied, she is Aunt Ellen. She note from now on, address her as Professor Ellen Ludwig, the great genius. She can't stand slow learners who don't understand things the first time. Don't ever ask a question again after she has taught him once. Got it? That's how his bloodline limited magic training began. She explained bloodline limited magic isn't recorded to prevent theft by other wizards. Therefore, he must meet with a family wizard and directly receive the knowledge into his mind. Let her demonstrate, so pay attention. As she opened her eyes, a crimson-red mana flow out from it. However, Rain, think this feeling. It's the same as those eyes from back then. She stated this is Bel Sidious. He said she is awesome auntie. She excited remarks, how is it? Cool, right? To use this, he need to compute 3 spells simultaneously. She said 3. Someone like him could only dream of this. He replied he can do it. She note he is so arrogant. Ellen, seemingly satisfied with his reaction, wrote down several formulas. It was an analysis of magic. He exclaimed it's more theoretical than he expected, and he think if the founder of the Ludwig family didn't place genetic restrictions, so Lynn could have used it too. His thoughts were interrupted by Ellen, saying it's too difficult to even attempt. He has no idea what it means, right? He replied no, he just need time to roughly organize it. She remarked how frustrating. Well, she has no choice, she will make a special exception. However, he stated thank you for guiding him, but he will handle it from here on. She asked, wait, what did he say? He doesn't need her guidance? You don't ignore her. But Rain continued to ignore her. She became frustrated and stated fine, do as he please. As if he did ever succeed, she would not teach him later even if he begged in tears. As he continued his studies and worked on various formation, she reviewed each one upon completion. After checking his work, she handed him a new problem, her face partially hidden behind a book. He think, what's this? Is this how modern magic education works? Or is she testing him? Meanwhile, his mother looks at both of them while hiding nearby. Then she note, let's take a break. As she leaves the room, his mother approaches him and asks, isn't Aunt Ellen a bit unusual? He replied, yes, quite. She said his aunt isn't very honest. In truth, she's eager to teach him everything. So even if he already knows something, ask her a lot of questions. She was just like that when she used to follow his father and her around. She was so adorable. However, Rain think has the meaning of adorable changed in 300 years? After the break, as he continue his work, while she glances at Rain work. But as she noticed that Rain is looking at her, she immediately covers her face with the book. He thinks she is really annoying and more bothersome than 6-year-old Sari. Then he said, Aunt, he can't understand this part at all. Could he please explain it? She immediately turned around and shouted, he doesn't even know this. Their family is doomed. Bring it here. And ask what part didn't he get it exactly? He pointed it out where he has problem. She demonstrate how he can solve it, and remark, see, it's solved right away. She continued to explain, if he used this formula here, he can solve it much faster. He didn't even know that? In response, he apologized to her. She stated he doesn't know anything. What have he been doing until the age of 9? He replied she is absolutely right. And asked then how should he solve this? She notes she guessed there's no choice. She will make an exception for him. And then he asked one question after another, and she answered him. Ellen's teaching was consistently like this. She required quite a bit of effort, but thanks to her, he significantly reduced the time needed to learn the theory and gained practical experience. On the 10th day of receiving Ellen's guidance, he felt a burning pain in his retina. With the sensation of all the blood in his body rushing to his head, the world slowly turned blood red. That's when it happened. The eyes that shone red were engraved with the mark of death. All information about everything in the universe is being directly transmitted to the brain in the form of formulas. Is this how it would feel to be the creator of the world? He then cast fireball spell while thinking, let's see how does magic look like. He understands back then, in the young wizard's eyes, all his magic must have appeared like numbers, and he stated it's truly amazing. Look at him. Her eyes became widened and shocked, and she remarked he achieved that in just 10 days. She think even after receiving special education, it took her 7 years to acquire Bel Sidious. They said it would take 70 years to master Bel Curious, and he achieved that in just 10 days. From a blank slate, not knowing anything, to performing multicasting with general magic. He might rival Lynn, who was called a prodigy of multicasting. A little while later, his father asked, so that's how it is to awaken Bel Sidious in just 10 days. She remarked, Appa, thanks to Rain, the Ludwig family might become the leading magical family. He's really amazing. As she leaves the room, he thinks as a father, he have nothing left to teach him. He called the butler named Yed. Butler Yed asked, yes, master, command him. Kevin orders send a message to father. Butler asked, he mean to the former head of the family? Kevin asked, is there a problem? Butler replied, no, that's not what he meant. Kevin continued by saying, write this to his father. Please guide your grandson who has innate talent. He respectfully requests this of him. Butler replied, he really go through fire and water for his son. He will proceed as commanded, Your Excellency. Spring ended, and a brief summer arrived. This summer seems to last about a year. Dark clouds covered the continent, pouring rain day after day. It's summer. That summer, he was incredibly busy. During the day, he learned household magic from Ellen, and taught basic magic to Sari whenever he had the chance. And at night, he focused on physical and magical strength training. The development of modern magic he learned from Ellen and books was truly remarkable. For someone from 300 years ago like him, it was shocking. He think to simplify such complex formulas to this extent, the activation time has been reduced, and the power has increased significantly. The level of magic has greatly improved compared to 300 years ago. He might lose against a modern 4-star mage. Magic has grown over time. It's absolutely impossible to become a 7-star mage in this era with his current state. Much stronger power and knowledge is needed. A little later at the dining table, he said, Father, he has a request. Please send him to Mage City. It should take about 3 years. Sari asked, where is he going? He replied he is thinking of going to Golden Rose in Mage City. The best magic university, Layton, is there. And asked his father, will send him, right? Father stated, that's not possible. Think of his age. He is only 10 years old. It's too early for him to leave home. Children of magical families enroll into Layton when they turn 16. It's not too late to go to Mage City then. And another thing. A very important appointment is already scheduled. This is a letter sent by his father, your grandfather. As Ellen heard that, she became surprised and started coughing up. She tried to speak. Her talk were interrupted by Kevin saying wipe her mouth before she speak. Jane think grandfather, could it be but his thoughts were interrupted by his father saying, "There are only 3 in their Ludwig family, who are awakeners of Bel Curious." He think he was right, Bel Curious awakener, Scalzi Ludwig. Kevin remarked grandfather will personally guide him in Bel Curious. He asked really? Kevin replied yes, so Rain you must first visit grandfather. A few days later, as he arrived at his grandfather mansion, his father leaves him behind, saying he will go ahead to greet him for a moment. A little later, as he entered his grandfather's room, his grandfather immediately noticed him, and enchanted a spell on his hand. Felling the present of the spell, Rain think what is he thinking? Regaining his composure, Rain think let's stop thinking and just do it. And Rain also ready his spell, so he can fend off any attack. Meanwhile, as his grandfather focused his eyes on his spell, the spell that Rain prepared disappeared immediately. He confusingly looks towards his hand. His grandfather remarked this is the Bel Curious. It can control visible magic at will. Rain exclaimed, "Wow, that's awesome." His grandfather laughed and asked, "Do you want to try it too?" He replied yes. His father breathed out sigh of relief. His grandfather continued with his explanation. Mastering Bel Curious isn't the end. To use it properly, the caster must fully understand it. What level is he at now? Rain replied he can barely perform a high-speed calculation of a 3-star spell. Actually, he can handle up to 5-star. His grandfather asked a 3-star spell? Impressive. It's almost astonishing. Even so, Bel Curious requires tremendous magic power. He is still a long way off at his current state. Rain stated, but it's just a long way. It's not impossible, right? Grandpa, teach him the path to that level. Grandfather remarked his training will be quite tough. Rain replied that's how he learned properly. Grandfather note his initial greeting was too rough. He apologized and he sincerely welcomed them both. Kevin after, confirming Rain's aptitude, "Let's have a drink together." Kevin immediately turned around and replied, "Yes, father." A few days later, as his grandfather said he must be able to use Bel Curious freely. "Now, read the spell quickly. Don't miss it." Rain replied yes. His grandfather note is he just going to stand there and watch the opponent's spell activate? Move quickly, and he think truly remarkable. Talent. If he teach one thing, he grasps 100, no 1,000. A genius who learns in a day what would take a month for others. Now, all that's left is to master the use of the eyes and grow his magic. Then he exclaimed in training, he must risk his life to grow significantly. Rain replied he understand, Grandpa. His grandfather remarked he will fire a fireball now. If he can't dodge he will die. And he launched the fireball spell at him. And Rain tried to use Bel Sidious. As he doesn't dodge, his grandfather said hurry out of the way. Meanwhile Rain think by interpreting the opponent's magic with Bel Sidious and manipulating it with Bel Curious. He think Bel Curious has been activated. The universe is converted into equations and delivered directly to brain. Now modify the formulas in front of him as he wish. The magic array consists of 2 triangles. The assigned rune symbol is the formulaic rotation. The size is 17 axles. The range is 23 kilometers. The solution to the equation is an imaginary root, and the fireball attack disappears completely. His grandfather became surprised. As he about to fall, his grandfather grabbed him. Rain asked Grandpa, "Is it done now?" Grandfather replied yes. "Well done. Now, he just need to enhance his magic power." He can hardly believe it. At 14, he has awakened Bel Curious. He barely reached that level at 39. This boy could rewrite the Empire's history. A little while later, Grandfather remarked he won't interfere with whatever life he choose. But when he turns 16, make sure to knock on the door of Delayton. However, Rain think the Magic University Delayton? Honestly, he is not interested. He continue with his explanation. If he graduate at the top of Delayton, he will have the chance to meet Archmage Lynn. Then Rain replied okay. And then Rain remarked, but he is not really curious. Grandfather replied he felt the same. But hero Esther left a letter. Isn't he curious about its content? Rain think what? Esther left one for him. Grandfather continue, no one at his age has awakened Bel Curious before. With his abilities, he should be able to read the letter. At that time, he was stunned and could only listen blankly. In hindsight, that was the beginning. Yes. This is the story of a journey retracing the footsteps of former comrades. Following Esther's letter, Rain remarked there's about half a year left until the Delayton entrance exam. He will take this opportunity to learn about the world and visit various places as he heads south. His father replied yes. Do well and come back, Rain. Is he planning to stay in the Magic City even after the exams? Rain said yes. It's a place where all knowledge gathers. The notoriously difficult Dilatant entrance exam is held at the end of the year, and those who pass start their first semester in March. His mother asks, is he sure about this? She is worried about him traveling alone without any guards. His father replied, Rain's skills are already exceptional, and there won't be any danger if he follow the national road. Rain thinks someday, when he look back, will they be able to call this conversation a memory? At the 15th day of the journey, the Holy Human Empire's southern Richland, Jerem region. In a small town, there were numerous inns and taverns, and curiously, all the people passing by were wearing bamboo hats. A little later, Rain asked, why are they wearing bamboo hats? The person replied, kid, don't he know the Lynn caravan? Rain asked, what do he mean by Lynn caravan? The person replied, he looks smart, but he don't know much. Long ago, their first leader received help from the archmage Lynn, so they wear bamboo hats as a sign of gratitude. Impressive, right? It's a trading group with such a grand history. Rain think, but who is this first leader? If he hear the name, maybe he will remember. And he asked, but what are such esteemed merchants doing in a small town like this? The person replied, there's a problem with the road leading to the sunlit highway. Ferocious monsters have appeared on the path, and dozens of people have gone missing. They are waiting for the Lord's forces to come and eliminate them. He wonder what their trading partners will say. Rain think monsters, beings whose essential nature has been twisted by the abyss, are called monsters. They resemble animals but have much more grotesque appearances and ferocious magical powers, and no matter how many are eliminated, they never disappear. As long as it's not a top-level monster, he shouldn't be in danger, and he continue his journey. Late at night, as he moving through the bamboo forest, he sensed something watching him, but it isn't attacking. Perhaps it sensed the difference in magical power, like a beast's instinct. He could handle monsters of this level. It's not his concern. The extermination team will take care of it. Then he recalled the memory of past when Esther said, all right, let's proceed overland from here. Fried asked, what do you mean? Esther explained, let's follow the Belisu River and head to Turvanop. Fried said he agree. Esther continued, there's a truly amazing flower field along the river. Want to stop by on the way? Fried asked, a flower field? Where is it? Lynn became flustered at their conversation and asked, what are they doing right now? Two Esther parties that crossed over to the continent before them were annihilated fighting at the front. Because of them, the front line has stagnated, and they're barely holding on, waiting for another hero's help. Do they know what kind of situation this is? Fried said, of course she do. The Red Dragon Legion and the Yellow Dragon Legion are heading to the battlefield, and all the strong mercenaries have crossed the sea for honor and glory. Lynn stated, so they need to hurry too. Esther stated, that's why she is saying this. With all the strong ones gone, monsters have started running wild across this continent as if they were waiting for this moment. Lynn remarked, at most they'd be danger level C, maybe B. They don't have time to deal with such things. Esther exclaimed, Lynn, in this world, there are many people who desperately need help, even for things that seem trivial. There's no weight in the need for help. She hoped he become an adult who helps such people. In present, Rain think even though he died 300 years ago, she is still nagging. He is just resting because he was a bit tired. Cast a spell and summon a creature, commanding it to locate the monster. Shortly thereafter, the creature captures the monster, and Rain orders it to bring the monster back. The creature obeys Rain's command. Seeing the monster, Rain think they call that a threat? He has dealt with countless creatures like this. He will release him if he promise not to harm people. Not that he would understand, and crush the monster in pieces. He didn't do it to help. It was just out of boredom. The border between the central and southern regions of the empire. If he remember correctly, this place was called the Badancho Mountain Range. The moment he stepped into it, the low-level beasts started to attack him. He became angry and think, how dare these lowly beasts look down on him. His thoughts were interrupted as the incoming monster are hit by arrows. That surprised him, and he quickly turned towards where the arrows come from while thinking of Kai's. But two persons are standing on the hill, with the bow. As the green-haired person jumped down towards him, Rain noticed the smell of alcohol coming from him. The green-haired person asked, is he okay? This is a place where monsters often appear. Didn't anyone tell him on his way here? The other person, with brown hair, asked, why would someone give such a warning? They, the descendants of the great palace, are guarding it. Meanwhile, Rain gained his composure and thought, it can't be Kai's. He stated, he is not sure which school they are from, but they helped him. Thank you for your help. Then he asked, by the way, this is the Badancho Mountain Range, right? Both looked towards each other and started laughing. Rain angrily asked, why are they laughing? The person with brown hair stated, how long has it been since it changed to Keeslington, and he still call it Badancho Mountain Range? Kieslinton. It means mountain range of Palace Kais. After defeating the Abyss, Kais seemed to have taken root here. They were the disciples of the archery school founded by Kais. Traditionally, skilled ones recognized by the headmaster guard this pass. Rain thought, is drunken archery the basic skill of this school? What exactly did they do to get assigned here? His thoughts were interrupted by the brown-haired person saying, he came at the right time, kid. There's a festival today. It's a day when anyone can drink free alcohol. He should know the taste of alcohol if he wants to become an adult. Alcohol he knows. It's said to be the path to the sun and moon. The green-haired person remarked, what a man of culture. Don't think he can skip his shift today by talking nonsense. Focus, they still have to guard this place. The other person asked, how can he let a kid like this go alone? That's unacceptable. He will just take him to the village entrance, and he will be back immediately. A little later, the person stated, the path is a mess because of the fallen leaves, right? They do clear the leaves, but this year, so many leaves have fallen that it's endless even when they clear them. As he continued to explain, Rain checked the surroundings. The person remarked, if he go up those wooden stairs from here, he will find the training hall, and if he follow the path straight, he will reach the village. As Rain looked around, he saw a grave. As he looked closely, he realized it was Kai's grave. As his thoughts deepened, the person interrupted him, saying if he is on a journey, why doesn't he make a wish here too? Rain asked a wish? The person asked, hey, is he seriously asking because he don't know? Well, considering the time, he might not recognize it. Rain asked, recognize what? The person replied, this tomb. It's the tomb of Palace Kais. People usually make a wish here, saying please protect them this year too. Rain's expression became one of anger, and he said, don't joke around. The person asked, why would he joke around? Rain noted, it's strange. Who builds a tomb in the middle of a mountain? Kais, that person, the palace, is a hero, right? The person replied, he don't know the story behind this tomb, do he? Is he really from this country? Amongst Kai's companions was the archmage called Lynn. He knows. This is a well-known fact, so he think he might have heard of it before. But they say Lynn was very shy. Kais seemed to believe that Lynn would come back, even after he died. They said if the tomb was in the village, Lynn wouldn't be able to come because he was shy, so he asked for himself to be buried here. Rain recalled the memory of the past when he was Lynn. He said, Kais, he reek of alcohol and stop snoring, and don't touch his hair. In another memory, he guided Kais how to write a letter. He shouted again. He told him not to touch his hair. Rain thought, did he know that this was an eternal farewell, that they'd never meet again? Then his thoughts became negative, and he thought, no, that's not true. He promised to come back. He promised to come back to meet him. He promised. Thinking all this, he became frightened, and started to run away from the grave. Seeing that, the person asked, what happened? Then his foot struck a rock, causing him to crash to the ground. A little later, Rain sat at the edge of the cliff, contemplating his thoughts. Let's go back. Let's turn around and head to Kai's grave, and say my goodbyes there. Even if it's late, let's say he has come back, and apologize to him, and ask for forgiveness. As he lay down on the cliff, he recalled an old memory when he was Lynn. How did he manage to find it in such darkness? His eyesight is really good. How can he aim when he is drunk? Freed handed him a drink while saying, drink this. He can't aim when he is sober? Kais didn't have a tongue, so he couldn't talk. He was quiet during the day, but at night, it was really noisy. Recalling all these memories, Rain started laughing, followed by crying. A little later, he visited Kai's grave. He cast a fire spell on the dried leaves, burning them, and cleaning the area around the grave. He said his goodbyes. As he left, he apologized to Kais, saying it's not because he is shy, it's because he lacked the courage. The courage to face them all, the courage to meet and ask for forgiveness. He couldn't keep the promise he made with them all. As he approached his destination, he thought autumn in the south was sweltering. Under such a summer-like autumn sky, a brilliant city spread out before him. The magic city Golden Rose, and the magic university Delayton was built at the heart of Golden Rose. It was a city he had been curious about since his past life, but it didn't live up to his expectations. His thoughts were interrupted by a nearby shopkeeper saying, magic books for sale. They also have study guides written by expert magic tutors. Another shopkeeper remarked, this is a magic amplification tool, and this here is a rare item found by a silver-grade adventurer in a dungeon. He thought, all knowledge flows through the Golden Rose. It's a phrase befitting the stature of this place where everything gathers. Rain went to a shop and asked for the price of an item. The shopkeeper replied, just 10 copper coins. Rain was surprised and asked the price a second time. The shopkeeper confirmed, yes, it's only 10 copper coins. Rain thought he remembered paying at least 80 copper coins for it back then. But his thoughts were interrupted by the shopkeeper saying, "Excuse me, sir, the clock tower bell is ringing. The exam is about to start." Rain immediately gave him 10 coins thinking, he is here to take the Dilaton exam. But his attention was grabbed by a running thief, and someone shouted, "Catch the thief, please." Rain thought, the security isn't great here. It's a big city, so the guards should handle it. More importantly is the exam hall. At that moment, a woman with silvery white hair bumped into Rain and fell to the ground. Rain promptly apologized to her and inquired about her well-being. He observed that she appeared to be unharmed. However, he mentioned that he was pressed for time and requested her understanding. But the woman stated, "Give it back. That's not for sale. It's a family heirloom. My grandson needs it for his entrance exam today. Please give it back." As she said all this, Rain thought, why should he help? He has an exam to take. Now's not the time. At that moment, he heard the voice of Esther saying, "Help her, Lynn." Then Rain moved towards her and asked, "Did that guy take it?" "Wait here for a moment. He will get it for her." Rain immediately chased after the thief, while jumping over the roof of nearby houses and prepared a spell to stop the thief. And Rain think he is so busy that he could die. This is so annoying. He is going to turn him into charcoal. At the moment, a voice interrupted him saying out of the way, and jumped over him. And she cast a spell in front of the thief, to block his escape. Thief remarked, "What's this? It seems like a sand wall?" In that instance, she stand in front of him, while saying, "Picking pockets at the Golden Rose, that's bold." She would give him that. But she think he picked the wrong day. Rain also knows her, but she continue he is done for now, because he got caught by none other than Christaton. Rain thinks Sand Soldier, and that confident attitude. That's the Warden. And he explained Warden, a lord from the Eastern Empire. Just like the Ludwig family, it's one of the 5 major magic houses. Before he regained his past memories, they met a few times at the house meeting. Whenever they met, he always spoke bluntly, so he called her Goody Two-Shoes. But how is she already wearing a uniform? He should be the same age as him. At present, Thief launched a wind spell that destroyed her sand soldiers. And also a boy caught in his spell, which Rain saved with his Earth-bind spell. Rain thinks so that Thief was a mage too. He has pretty decent magic power. What's that equipment on his left hand? Meanwhile, Christaton started casting another spell while saying he is pretty good for a thief. Then try blocking this. Rain think it's 2-star magic, even done mentally. If the Ludwig family is known as the Stealing Mages, the Warden family is known as the Commanding Mages. The Warden family's bloodline limited magic is summoning magic of the earth attribute. And she summoned a sandstone golem, and she confidently remarked, "Try showing off again?" But the thief laughed and showed his artifact on his left arm, while saying with this he is invincible, and formed a black spear and launched at Sandstone Golem, and struck Golem on the chest. But as the dust settles, the Golem seems to have taken no damage. Seeing that Christaton note, did he think she did fall from such an attack? If he want to defeat her Golem. But to her surprise, the Golem tried to attack her, because Golem was under the control of Thief now. But the Golem attack was blocked by Rain, saying showing her trump card so soon is how she get counterattacked. Let him give her a tip. In magic, casting first doesn't mean she win. This marks the conclusion of the first part of this manhwa. The second part will be uploaded soon. To show your support for the channel and help speed up the release of recaps for your favorite manhwa, please consider subscribing to the channel. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.